everyone. I'm absolutely, I should say, buongiorno. I'm delighted to be here. Now, look, I know you've all been sitting down for a long time, so if anyone wants to get up and have a little bit of, do it, guys, I'm very happy for you to do that. So, look, I'm going to talk about some trends. I'm going to talk about the future. But I always think, to look at the future, you have to look at the past. I really do believe in that. And I know we've heard from Mike today about National Geographic and their amazing content they've had for 130 years. But, back in 1895, John Deere, the agricultural company, decided, look, we make tractors. Why don't we do something in that world of, make a magazine all about agriculture and all the issues? And that is the Furrow magazine. The Michelin brothers realized that, people have to drive to all these amazing places. And guess what? They use tires. Hovis, as a company that was invested in health, used to produce cycling maps. I suppose the point there really is that those brands are still doing that today. It's quite phenomenal. I'm just going to show you a video now, and let's talk about it afterwards.
Don't you know, they're talking about a revolution. It sounds like a whisper. Don't you know, they're talking about a revolution. It sounds like a whisper. While they're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds whisper. Poor people gonna rise up, get their share. Poor people gonna rise up and take what's theirs. Don't you know you better run, 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 run. Oh, I said you better run, 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 run. 'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. Oh no, talking about a revolution. Oh, while they're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know, talking about a revolution sounds whisper. And finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. Oh no, talking about a revolution. Oh no, talking about a revolution.
Wow. So, let's go. Okay. So I normally run a competition to say, how many brands could you recognize in there? But I've done it for you. So, look, these are some of the biggest brands in the world. And I think often, we get a little bit carried away that, I genuinely believe that branded content or branded entertainment is for every brand, or brands that, it's not just the big brands. Just a little bit of background to where BCMA came from. We're celebrating 15 years, and really we were born out of the world of production and brands. So we were the bridge that enabled brands to talk to the producers of their amazing content. And everything we do, much like OBE, is about best practice. It's all about giving our members the tools to doing the best branded content. And we've got a lot of members, and we've got a lot of amazing companies that we work with. And generally, they come from all aspects of the content business, whether you're a producer, a platform, a brand, or an agency. And we're very proud of having those amazing members. We're also very proud of our people as well. So we give our members a unique global perspective of what branded content is across the world. We've recently opened up in India, and also our affiliate partners here in Italy, of course, are OBE. So what are we dealing with? Many times we talk about branded content and people say, yeah, well, what is it? So around 4 years ago, we set out on a journey to define branded content for the digital age. Now, I won't read it all for you, but really it is about having content that people want to engage with, not be interrupted by, but it's got to be entertaining. It's got to have information and an educational value. This comes from the world of academia and also through our global research partner, Ipsos Mori. Now, I suppose the point about a definition is not everyone is going to agree with it. But at least when people ask us what we believe branded content is, we can signpost it to our report that is now published, and it's also cited around the world in other studies too. So I'm going to take you back around 15 years now, and this was really, I guess, my inspiration when what brands were doing in the world of content. So let me play this video.
Hi, my name is Bruce Bilston. 15 years ago here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, we created something at an agency called Fallon called BMW Films. It set the bar for what branded content could be. And last year, 3 of us that were on that original team, myself, David Carter, and Brian DiLorenzo, were asked to do a new film to celebrate that 15th anniversary called The Escape, and starring Clive Owen. Seeing the reaction to that film made us realize that what we did here in Minneapolis in 2001 was important, and that branded content is here to stay. We wish we could be at your event today, and we wish you the very best.
Thanks, Bruce. So, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows about BMW film, but I'm going to play another film just to show you the amazing content that was created all that time ago.
What would you fall on your sword for?
Change the sunrise for sunset. That's what I did.
Listen carefully. This is going to happen very quickly.
What is it?
It's out again.
There's always something waiting at the end of the road.
I know a thing or two about performing.
If you'd keep your eyes on the road instead of on me, we might be getting somewhere.
Let me see what I can do.
Well, I hope you agree that was truly inspiring, and it really was the start, really, of Clive Owen's career in Hollywood. You know, let's think about it. You know, the amount of content that's created today, and this is a big number, that's reputedly the amount of content that's uploaded every single hour. So we have to think about the quality of that content. Because, you know, depending on who you believe in this world, you know, these are the numbers now, the market value of branded content, branded entertainment, content marketing, $400 billion by 2021. You know, again, there are lots of figures, but annualized 190, 200 million. I know we saw some figures earlier, which was very good from Guido. But obviously, we've seen brands like Lego make nearly $1 billion at the box office. And I think that is really the amazing sort of world of content can be so diverse. It can be a 6-second video up to a 90-minute theatrical movie. We know people share a load of content. We know that brands now want to do more branded content. But again, it's really understanding the start point and really being true to those values. Because let's be honest, we haven't got very long attention spans, and I'm glad that, I've done 10 minutes and you're still all hopefully quite engaged. But that's quite a scary stat. But I think, working with a lot of amazing companies, amazing brands and amazing agencies and platforms is that, really it is about insight. It's about listening to customers, listening to your potential consumers, and then building a story around it. So talking of stories, this is something I worked on about 10 years ago. And I'll play the video and then we'll talk about it.
30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
We got a roll program. Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
So the reason I use this example is that this project was funded by a really small private financial institution, and it started off as a DVD-only project. And it was something that we looked at and thought, wow, this content was amazing. This was content that was never seen before. And let's think about it. This is 10 years ago, 40th anniversary of the moon landing, a really significant event. And look at that technology they had in the rocket. Wow. That's pretty amazing they actually got there. So we took this project and we amplified it. We went to Discover and we said, look, why don't we think about how we can get this out there? And in the end, it went out in 120 different countries. And I'm sure you can think the client was absolutely delighted with that from where we started from. So really, the point there is to say, look, we've got a lot of technology. We've got a lot of stuff that we can use. But as Mark Pritchard said, he's got a big global budget. But he says too often we produce crap. And it goes back to the point is that we've got a lot of space to fill. But don't just do it for the sake of it. Here's a really nice example. I was very fortunate and privileged to be able to judge a lot of, bless you, a lot of competitions around the world. And this was one of the standout winners for me. think we've seen enough. What a party, huh? Amazing. But, you know, when you think about it, very different approach. But I think also when you're talking about content, it's always, you know, you need to understand what success looks like. You know, too many times our people, I think, hide behind what we call the vanity metrics, number of views on YouTube, you know, number of likes. Well, that's fantastic, but, you know, are they actually real people? You've got to kind of ask yourself. You know, we've been measuring branded content for 10 years. Our latest project was with Lexus, with Time Out, a digital publishing platform, and the results were outstanding. Because, you know, for brands, the challenge is that, this is one of our other members, is saying, look, everything is going to become branded content. So how are you going to cut through? When you look at some of the numbers out there from different studies around the world, you know, a lot of people just see it as clutter. And other stats where you think, you know, 90% of all content that's been created was uploaded in the last 2 years. You know, and look at the usage figures as well. You know, what are we trying to do to our audiences? Here's another example of a brand, a 70-year-old brand that really did amazing stuff to contemporize itself.
Hi. Okay, let's see. Where should I start? My name is Barbie Roberts. I'm a little nervous. All right. Ta-da! Funja. My friends and I just really love sharing new ideas. It's Ken! Chelsea!
Finding a new thing every week has been pretty challenging, but I haven't missed one yet.
Life is long. Fill it up.
All right, let's go.
Here we go.
Let's go.
If you're in a long car ride,
Maybe you can't move your arms.
you can always just still move your fingers. Do you guys do that? It is so important to stand up and stand out.
You are always powerful when you stand up for others.
Sometimes you want to wear a pink ballet slipper, and sometimes you want to wear a red tennis shoe.
You do you.
Open wide. I like it.
Sometimes I feel blue, but I don't always have to be upbeat and positive. You can't have the spring without the winter.
I believe in wearing my heart on my sleeve.
Really?
I know, that was a really corny joke. Learn a ton, have a blast, and be ready for the next one.
Pace. Positive attitude changes everything. Just think about it. Pace.
Pace.
Pace. Perfect.
So I really think they understood their target audience. They really needed to contemporize the brand, and I think they should be hugely congratulated for that. Because, you know, what branded content can do, it can do, you know, amazing things. When you think about the value proposition, it can work for the brand, the platform, and the audience. You know, we've seen a fantastic presentation from Mike earlier this morning about the power of National Geographic. But, you know, you've got to kind of use that. They know about their audience better than anyone else does. And that goes for other platforms like the Wall Street Journal, which we'll hear from later on as well. So you've really got to harness that power. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. We're going to now look at the future. And I think the thing about predicting the future, and I always say, the one thing that's guaranteed is you're going to be wrong. This is a quote from the CEO of IBM, Thomas Watson, back in 1943. Now, obviously, we know he was quite a long way out on that one. But, you know, again, you know, it's about looking at the trends and seeing where we are. I think one of the most interesting areas to develop is the world of audio. We get very hung up on video. We see a lot of amazing video. But I think audio, I think podcasts, you know, I think this is where brands should start to think about. You know, even in the UK, the BBC, obviously the very non-commercial organisation, is doing a hell of a lot of work in voice recognition and telling people how to search in that respect. Here's you've probably seen this example, but this was an example of how a brand hijacked voice recognition.
You're watching a 15-second Burger King ad, which is unfortunately not enough time to explain all the fresh ingredients in the Whopper sandwich. But I got an idea. Okay, Google, what is the Whopper burger?
Did everyone see that? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, you know, hats off to them. They did something that was really interesting, and I think that's something that brands need to really think about. I think another area you need to think about as a brand is the world of gaming. Gaming has kind of evolved, says Tim Cook, CEO of Apple. I think he'll probably know. But here's an example from one of our members who did amazing work with Sony.
My name is Pedro Oliva, and my mission is to kayak you over in Juruena waterfall. When PlayStation offered me the opportunity for doing my own uncharted adventure, I just stop and remember Juruena. Mato Grosso is known as the green hell of the Amazon forest, the last green blank space on Earth. It's a very special area, totally different than another place in the world. When I stand in the front of the waterfall, I think it's similar to the scenery in Uncharted 4. Two waterfalls, rock in the middle, the birds, the blue sky, wind, the sun, and all this combination is unique. You can have fears in your life. Juruena for me represents this, because I'm here 5 years ago and I see the waterfall. It was too strong for me this time. And my goal here is face my fears.
I think that's incredible. What they've done is they've taken gaming, but they've brought it into real life as well. Talking of real life, artificial intelligence, does everyone get really inundated with all this new stuff? Well, look, guys, you know, computers only do stuff that we tell them. So I really think it's about putting the magic into the machines. Let's have a look at this video.
Contender for shots of the tournament on the very first day. Oh, what a wonderful bit of magic. There's that forehand.
And the scary thing was, Raonic was covering the line.
That's ridiculous. That actually is ridiculous.
What a hit!
Oh, she hit that ball. The quality of the pickup initially to keep the rally alive, and then what Alfie Hewitt did to finish.
Okay, so we'll stop it there. So, you know, that video was made without any humans involved. That was created by IBM Watson. Now, I don't know what you think of it. It was okay. The brief was, you know, create a video highlights from the 27 Wimbledon Championships. I think we can do a lot better. So let's talk about distribution. Often an area we don't really think about. It should be something that we discuss and agree right up front. You know, I think Bernard Arnault knows a bit about branding, and he says if you control distribution, you control your image. So let's have a look at this example.
We started by putting every page of Jay-Z's book out in the world, every day for a month, prior to the book's release. But the pages weren't just randomly placed. Every page's location was inspired by the story on each page, putting Jay-Z's entire biography in context. Fans could actually walk through Jay-Z's life right where it happened, finding pages in 13 major cities in the US and abroad, searching for everything from huge iconic billboards to unique collectible items. And if the media didn't exist near Jay-Z's life landmarks, we created it, taking the campaign to places money just can't buy. Gucci made custom jackets stitched with a page. A Cadillac wrapped with pages paid homage to the birthplace of New York hip-hop. A page about Big Pimpin' covered the bottom of the Delano pool. Even a bronze plaque was installed in the Marcy Projects, where Jay-Z spent his childhood. We let the story on each page determine each location. The unique pages covered hundreds of thousands of square miles. And as they were unveiled around the world, Bing tied every element of the campaign together.
again, it's just about thinking things in a different way. Going to really finish on how brands now are becoming disruptors. You know, this whole D2C, direct to customer, is something that's really taking hold. And again, you know, it's another challenging area where we think about the fact that there's been a lot of new brands that have come around, and they don't have many assets. They don't have any assets at all, like an Uber or an Airbnb. They're just an aggregator. But this is one of my favorites.
Hi,
Let's see what you think.
I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
Now, if you're Gillette, that's a big issue, or Wilkinson's, or, you know, any of those mainstream brands. What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do? I don't have all the answers, by the way. It's okay. But I've just sort of put together a few of the sort of emerging trends that maybe this is something in terms of where we're going as an industry. I think also we do tend to get very excited about content, which is fantastic, but we do also get a little bit carried away, and we tend to go to execution quite quickly because we know we can visualize it. We're all very visual. But I think it's got to be grounded. You know, when I started in marketing, advertising 30 years ago, it was all about understanding your customer. You know, you start with your target audience and you built it from there. You look at the insight and you really think about your distribution. How are you going to activate it? I know you know all this, guys, but I think it's really exciting. It's an amazing time to be in branded entertainment, branded content. You know, every day brings a different challenge. But I think, you know, it keeps it very interesting. I'm going to finish on a short video we created from our event called The Great Content Revolution, which took place earlier this year. And it's just some different voices from the industry. And hopefully you find it interesting.
But it's kind of what we used to call advertising, and now it's much more sophisticated, it's much more thoughtful, and we live in a world where you're surrounded by content at all times, and so branded content is almost a necessity, and I don't think it's going anywhere.
Everyone is doing branded entertainment. It increases as the time goes on. Many more brands, companies will use branded entertainment as a marketing channel. You have to think about telling stories in a way that people haven't heard or haven't experienced in the past. That's the only way that they will choose to engage with it, they will choose to share it.
There's a lot of research around how many people feel that advertising doesn't adequately or properly represent their families, the way that their families really are. And there's a lot around gender stereotyping. We've got new ASA regulation coming out shortly around penalties for stereotypical gender portrayals in adverts.
Don't always think about views, think about the people that you're trying to get to. Because something can have 58 million views on it, but actually the impact it's had to its actual target audience is really small. So I think about what you want to say, how you want to say it, and make sure the message is put across, but without it being too obviously branded.
Yeah, not buying the old
tricks that were used in advertising until a couple of years ago. So, meaning that the consumer wants the truth, with no spin, no filter, and truth is strictly related to return of investment for brands.
I think an area that's really going to develop is in brands commissioning longer form content as they look to stretch beyond just the short form sort of snackable stuff that typically has been filling ad units in the past.
I think the most important thing is that you have the guts to take a risk and to do something different. Know your brand, know your audience, and try and do things that are potentially out of the box and interesting.
There is no real difference between content and branded content. There's just good content and bad content. And I think there has been a tendency for brands to think more about what they're trying to sell. ROI's there, but when in fact they should be thinking more about how to engage people.
Working with a media owner or a publisher, first because they have the audience, but also if you get them involved at the right stage, early enough, help them, let them help you shape that content, let them get it to a point which is right for their publication, their channel, then they're going to put more weight and promotional weight behind it as well. And that's going to deliver you an audience, and that's going to deliver you a greater return on investment.
Coming up with something innovative, yet using an efficient and effective way of thinking about it, turning the branded content development into something which is more methodological, more structured, is what is at stake now, and which is becoming very important in the world of branded content.
Thank you. I hope you found that interesting, because we genuinely believe, and this is a quote from the head of probably one of the biggest production units of ITV in the world. He says this is the age of branded content, and I tend to agree with him. I know I'm a bit biased, but I really do believe that's the case, and I really do believe we're at the start of this great content revolution. So thank you very much for listening. Hope you found it interesting.